This is 3FM.
It was not third time lucky that I tried to get somehow in. It was something that I was doing the first time to stand for an election. I had to learn how to do this. I had to understand what voters would expect. I made a few mistakes in the first by-election because I didn't send all the manifestos out, because I thought all the people have internet connection. They can look it up on Facebook or on a web page, and they will do this. But obviously, you do not get the type of attention that you think you may get, because you think that's very important. Now, the by-election, people thought it was not important at all. So it was important that you were in every household, or visited as many households, and that was something which I had to learn. You had to learn to talk to people. And when the by-election in Douglas East came up, and it was basically in the winter time, in November, you knock on people's houses and you stand there in the evening when you know the people are at home and it's dark, and they think, who's that dark man standing in the dark in front of my house? A lot of people were scared. So it was just like a rehearsal for the general election now. I think it's very important that you live in the constituency if you want to stand as a candidate for the constituency, because you wake up in the morning, you see what the traffic situation is. You go to work in the morning, you see what the traffic situation is. You go shopping, you live there, you walk around after work in the evening around the roads, or I go with my daughter, we go cycling with a bicycle. So she goes to school in that area, to School Jubilee, which is just very close where we live. So you see hands-on what is happening, and also I can see what's happening with businesses, because our business is also located in Douglas Central, and I think that's all important. So, and you see what happens there, and you only understand that when you live in the constituency. So the main points for me is the main roads where people go to work in Douglas go through Douglas Central. So those roads are the roads which are most used in Douglas, and they need priority when it comes to repairing. The same to the pavements. If you look at the pavements, when we walk in the evening, or when I bring my daughter to the school in the morning, for example, the pavements are in such a bad condition that I saw several times people tripping on the pavement because there are gaps of, let's say, 2 or 3 inches, and it's really dangerous. And I tripped several times there as well, and I have no problems with walking or with my vision. So it is something that is very important. It affects everybody. We can see what have they done successfully, or what have they completed. And 5 years ago, all the people who are now MHKs have released their manifestos, and each and every manifesto concentrated on the few issues: health and safety, infrastructure, education. What else? I think these are the main points. Oh, protecting the vulnerable. That was also one of the main points. They do this to collect the votes, and they tell the voters what they are doing. Now, 5 years later, we can see the results of what they have done. We have same-sex marriage. We have a user agreement for the steam packet, which is still hanging in the balance. We have a promenade that has not been refurbished 1 meter, where we have spent over 1 million on planning permissions, or on planning. The Vision 9 contract just fell on its back. So, and then you can say, these are the main points of success that they have done. So basically they failed, I would say. Smaller things, for sure, they have achieved a few things, but the main points for the Isle of Man are different points. The main points are for the next 5 years, and I think this is where you need specific knowledge of people who come in. So for me, it's also a matter, if we want to have our ferry service, we have to think, should we go away from the profit model? At the moment, we have a profit model. The shipping company has to make money. The shipping company is owned by shareholders. As far as I understand, the main shareholders is still a Portuguese bank that is bankrupt. They set up a new bank from the initial shareholders. The initial shareholders were Espírito Santo. That bank went bankrupt. The Portuguese government bailed the bank out and established a new bank called Banco Novo. Now that bank made last year a loss of €1 billion again. So that bank needs to be sold or shut down. That is written in the law in Portugal. So we can be very sure that the shareholders of the steam packet have one interest, and one interest only, and that is profit. So if we look at this profit model, we have to think all the other things we want to do in future. If we want to grow the tourism, we cannot grow tourism when the tourists have to pay £300 extra on an equivalent holiday on the Isle of Man. So we have to reduce the prices, and we could do that if if the ferry model will be different. It will be away from profit to being a provider of service, making maybe a small profit, maybe $1 million or something, but we should have control of the Isle of Man government. Then we can say, this is how much hotels when they sell a package for holiday. That part is the part for the ferry service, and it is not £300. It might be £50. So then we will be competitive. If we don't do this, if we say we give it away to a company for free, no license fee, they can make a profit of 100 million in 10 years. It's ridiculous.
More music for the Isle of Man.
3FM.